And of course, we had to bring in our Raptors reporter, Josh Lewenberg, to talk about this Jontay Porter lifetime ban. Josh, first of all, your initial reaction to the lifetime ban, and will there be any fallout for the franchise as a whole as a result of what happened?
Well, the NBA was in an interesting position, I think, to set an important precedent here. In a lot of ways, they were lucky that this was a two-way player and not one of the stars of the league, but they might not be so lucky next time around. And given the landscape of legalized gambling in professional sports, there could very well be a next time. So for me, the question was always, do they take it easy on Porter and maybe suspend him for a year or two, thinking that if this were to happen to a star player down the line, that they could get away with just slapping him on the wrist? Or would they really take a stance here and throw the book at Porter, use him as an example, and send a message in the hopes that they can prevent the next incident from happening before it happens, to say to any player who has placed a bet before or who has thought about placing a bet on an NBA game that they should think twice. So that's obviously the route that they decided to go in. And given the severity of the situation, the fact that this was the league's absolute worst case scenario, their nightmare scenario where the integrity of the game was in jeopardy, I'm not surprised that they opted for this very severe punishment.
Yeah, Josh, you alluded to the fact that, Porter, not a star player, so in some ways the league has to be happy that it wasn't a star player. And yet when you talk about Jontay Porter himself, what exactly did he give up here? What was his future? What was his ceiling? How much did he actually give up in this lifetime ban?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, as I mentioned, he was a two-way player. He would have been a free agent over the summer. So from a Raptors standpoint, there isn't a huge impact on their roster. But for Porter, he's a guy who I can tell you the team really liked him. He was a good fit in Darko Rajakovic's system. And I do think he had a future here. It might not have been long-term, but he's a guy that could have been an end-of-the-bench, role-playing big man, somebody who probably would have had to fight his way onto the roster in training camp next season. But he's somebody who has fought to get to this point in his career, somebody who has overcome a ton of knee injuries that threatened his career coming out of college. And that's why I think this was such a surprise for so many people, that he would risk the rest of his basketball career for the gambling situation. But I mean, that's betting, that's gambling for you. It's an addiction unlike any other. You can't really justify it or apply logic to it. So while I do think that the punishment in this case fit the very serious crime, I hope that Porter gets the help that he needs, because this is a pretty disturbing situation for a player in his situation to be betting against his own team. It's not something that we've really ever seen in the NBA.
It's true. It's, wow. All I can say is, Josh, what a start to the Raptors offseason. This is wild, right? Thanks for this, though. We appreciate you joining us, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.